Good day,
Hey,
sir.
yes, sir.
Give
How
a
you
little
doing, guys? Yeah, set
there,
your camera up there. Come on now.
little tilt. You're looking wonderful.
Thank you. I work
Beautiful.
at it. Hi,
Wow.
everybody. Welcome to the long weekend ahead, or at least is it a long weekend nationally? I don't even know.
I believe it's a non-stat
Ah,
long weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. Some will have it off. The lucky ones will have it off, and they're probably going fishing. And the not so lucky ones will be at work thinking about those that have it off, gone fishing.
well, in our case, we're a victim of people wanting to go away for the weekend and not wanting to come on this show. That's okay. We have no guests today, apparently. Is
You
that
see,
true?
this is the problem with the long weekends. People nowadays, they say, well, they got Monday off. I might as well take Friday off too. What the hell, right? Let's make
Yeah.
it a real long weekend. so
No,
so our guest list was very shortened quickly when they were all gone away on Friday, which is today.
We
So
do. We have a ton of stuff to talk about, but we do have some great guests coming up in the weeks ahead. I'll throw this one at you because I'm excited about it. Buck Martinez is going to be joining us in a week or two. If you don't know who he is, first of all, he's an insane angler. This guy would rather fish than anything else in his life. Of course, he is the former back catcher for the Blue Jays, turned broadcaster with NBC, and
a very
now
good broadcaster too. He's awesome. He does a
he is
really good
great.
job.
So
Yeah.
much so that NBC uses them for all of their big games. Of course, we use them here still. Rogers uses them for the Blue Jays games that are on right now. And so he's going to be joining us in a week or two. Fascinating guy. I've had him on the radio program before, and just a great guest. But there's a ton of them that are coming up. But let's talk about today.
You know what? No, let me go. But I'm going to just reiterate just to let the people know how things sometimes happen. The way we hooked up with Buck Martinez was that our old cameraman, one of our first cameramen, Todd Monroe, who was with us for many, many years before I even got there, was with Ange in Reno, and then
First,
Todd just
he was the first official cameraman because Brent Levick was the producer.
okay.
Right? So he
Okay.
came
So Todd was
immediately
our
after
main,
that.
yeah. So Todd shot me a note and said, "Hey, he shoots for Dome Productions now. So, and he's one of the main camera guys there. And he said, hey, Buck Martinez is a huge fisherman. He's just crazy about fishing. What do you guys think about getting him on the show?" I was just, well, okay, let me get him with Ange. We'll get him on the radio first, and we'll see what we can do with that. So that's the way things work around here. So Todd's also tried to set us up with some of the NBA players, the Raptors, and stuff like that. So we have a list of ongoing, but that's how this thing's happen. It's pretty cool. So sorry, Ange, go ahead.
No. Now I'm screwed up. I didn't even know where I was going with this, but that's okay. Oh, I know where I was going.
There you go.
Congratulations to our very first winner of a Mercury 2.9.9 is over. It's the Mercury 2.5.
It's not the very first winner. You just said
No.
it's the very first winner.
Very first winner from Alberta, Canada.
Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go.
Congratulations to John Yee of Edmonton, Alberta. Lucky him, he's in the other bubble city. And interesting story with John from Edmonton winning this motor. He had 500 ballots in the box.
Over 500.
Over 500 ballots in the box. How cool is that?
It shows you it is possible, folks, when you're not getting your name drawn. I went through all the 9.9s and went through the Garmin. I couldn't get any of that. I'm with the 2.5 and I'm halfway through. John just shows you can win. Okay. Yeah. It's very possible.
Congratulations to him, and he'll be receiving his motor shortly. And don't forget, every month we start over again, although all of the ballots just get pushed into the new draw. So all the work that you did for last month is not lost. We're just pushing it into the next contest. So make sure you get in there every single day. Every 24 hours, you're eligible to put in a new ballot. Plus, as you all know, we are known to give away little bonus ballots every now and then. And this program gives away, I think, 10 at the end of the show. So
yeah, baby.
Stay with that.
Yes.
Go ahead, Peter.
Well, we could go on to Kevin Callan. We just put Kevin Callan up on our site. Got a new piece. He shares his favorite trout recipes. that can be prepared even out in the wilderness. So,
Oh,
obviously you can eat it out on the open campfire, or you can bring that stuff home and bring your fish home, bring all your recipes home and all that. And it's interesting because trout are they're a different fish to cook, right? They have the oil. They're an oily type of fish. They're not like a walleye or a pike. It's a white flaky kind of meat. So they have oil in their flesh, in their meat, in their skin. They're a little fattier fish. But some people like trout. I hear a lot of people that say they don't like trout, as compared to walleye, because I think they're doing a direct comparison, and they probably haven't eaten it properly done. All right, and as you know, when you used to go in Algonquin Park, the taste of a little brook trout, like a little 12-inch brookie, pan fried properly, there is not much better than that, to be honest with you.
But I also will tell you this. To add to that is that any fish, to me, when you're cooking it outdoors, or especially if you're doing it, via shore lunch or shore supper, it tastes extraordinary.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, I have to be honest with you. I'm not a huge. I love it in the outdoors, but I'm not a huge trout eater. It's not my favorite fish to eat, But when you catch it in the middle of Algonquin Park and throw it in a frying pan right there on shore, it's fantastic. But I'm
the same. I'm kind of the same, but there are certain times, like little brown trout from our southern Ontario streams, little brook trout. They are absolutely stunningly delicious. Wherever legal, obviously you have to work about legalities and the species. Like little browns are delicious. But the one I was really surprised at the most, Ans, was last week's Fishing Canada show aired when Steve Nizwicki and I went up to Perry Sound to catch those escapee rainbow trout. So there was a bunch of farm-raised rainbows for the most part that have escaped out, and I'm sure they're living off the land now. My God, was that delicious. I kept one for eating, and Steve kept one for eating. And I wish I would have kept more now, because I didn't know what to expect. Right? It was about little 2-pound rainbow. My God, was it good. Like, it was freaky how good it was.
Do you think that was because they were pen raised?
You know what? That's a great question, but I don't know what, I mean, if they'd pulled it right out of the pen and you can compare it to the one that's been escaped for a year or however long he's been out there eating bugs and real food, that'd be the only way you could compare it, I would think. All I know is that trout that escaped from that net, when I caught it into my frying pan, into my gut, it was delicious. I loved it. And I'm a total walleye, perch, pike addict. Like if I had to give up everything else, I would keep up all those, any of those three. It wouldn't matter which one, honestly, to be honest with you. But when you get the right trout, and it's like salmon, it's like nice Pacific salmon. When you get that orange meat and you cook that proper, it is so damn good. I mean, the key to everything, I'm sure Kevin, he might mention, I haven't looked at his blog yet, but he probably mentioned this, is you have to get rid of the fat off of the skin on any fish. And a trout in particular is very fatty. And all you got to do is if you're filleting, if you're doing, even when you cook it with skin on, it's that gray meat on the outside that between the skin and the meat. It's that gray, it looks like meat, but it's not. That's what the fat is. It looks grayish or darkish. Get rid of that. That's the fishy taste, and then you're golden. And that's even on walleye, that reddish brown on the skin. You get rid of that stuff and you're pure fish then. So
I got a feeling we've got a hot button. Everybody's wanting to comment on that. We'll have to come back to those later on. Mike, you can earmark some of those cooking things. What I was going to say, though, is it possible? Can we, at some point, do we have the technology to be able to put all of our contributing bloggers on this page somehow? Just sort of show them all with their names. Is that even doable? I thought it just dawned on me. We've got so many great, talented bloggers. We talk about the Ugly Pike podcast, and Kevin Kellen, but there's so many of them on our site, and it'd be great maybe one of these weeks that we kind of give them all some exposure. I don't know if it's possible. I'm just throwing it up.
On what we're doing right now, you mean, right across the screen?
Now, next week, next month. I don't want to tax anybody, but just
during our cast is what you're saying, right? We have to see. We have to all understand you too, right? And understanding Angelo. It's like that Newfoundland guy we talked to last week that said, Adam, you might be fish farm, you bring back. And I go, oh, okay, I got fish out of that. Okay, now I got to have him do it again. And
you see the crap. You see, people, do you understand the crap that I have to take here? And this is not something new. This is not something that just started.
No.
I've been taking this crap for almost 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that I'm even alive is a
Poor
testament.
Angelo. See, everybody's doing that with a poor Angelo right now. They're all feeling very sorry for you. Woe is you. Woe is me.
They know. They know.
I know they know. I know they know, because I know. You see my nastiness in all my comments right now. That scorn look at my face all the time, right? They know that it's always a knife in your back, right? They got to get in. It's a horrible life, you buddy. I'm telling you. Speaking of Ugly Pike, the boys did they did a new podcast. I remember that, which we got to start doing sometime in the near future. We have to get our podcast going. And it's a new episode. It is with Josh Keetree from Red October Baits. So if anybody that's in the know of muskie fishing knows Red October Baits. Anybody that doesn't, it's a good one to listen to, and then you can learn about those baits. The muskie world is crazy with fishing lures and baits. I mean, it is. Ange and I have experienced it when we go into Chaudière Lodge. We see the guys that Steve had there in the past, and these guys are absolutely nuts. Remember that one muskrat or whatever? What was it he had? Matt O'Brien had, and it was worth $250 or $350 US. He got from California.
Red squirrel.
Red squirrel. $350 US for this bait to get it up to Canada to start throwing it around. He probably doesn't throw it a lot. He just keeps it for a momentum. So the bait world is nuts in muskie guys and girls. So.
We just had Scott Stewart up on the screen. Can you put it back up? Says, hey guys, love your show. I film realistic outdoors. There's another. We talked about internet programming a while ago. There's another one I hadn't heard about, and you were one of the reasons I started my show. Well, thank you very much. We're gonna have to check you out. Let us know where you're available. We'll check you out, man.
I'm sure it's a YouTube channel, I would think, by the sounds of things, which is great. Yeah. It's freaking awesome. There's a lot of content over
there. The top 5 short fishing tips and techniques that you need to know also is a good blog. Pete, you want to tell folks about that? Yeah.
So we've noticed with our audience, with our web audience, that they really like the shore stuff. Okay, the shore fishing, the locations, especially obviously top 5 Southern Ontario ones, for instance, is just a great ongoing blog that people keep hitting. I mean, the whole key to this, what we found out is when people are looking, especially during a pandemic or something, says, where do I fish near me? You know, they'll put a Google search in there like that. Boom, our blog is showing up like that. So it's really showing the interest in that. And Ange and I get caught up. I'll speak for myself. I'm sure it's with Ange too. Is that when we got that big 20-foot Prince craft in the back with the 250 Merc sitting on the back of it, it's pretty easy just to grab that sucker and go fishing versus going on a shore, right? We get kind of spoiled in that sense, right? It's nice to go on a boat. When we go to lodges, we don't block us at the end of the dock. They give us a boat and we go out and vision. But our roots really are shore fishing, okay? And then when we do shore fish nowadays in modern day or whatever, we don't just go out there and cast off the shore. So we've learned through the years to find and refine and build better techniques to do stuff like that, just like in your boat. So that's what I did with this blog. I took 5 of my techniques that I've kind of learned and I've learned together, and then just said, okay, here you go. This is what I do. You might want to try this. Sort of. Go ahead. I think you have a question or something going on.
Well, I'm listening to you, you know, and I got to tell you that I have learned more about shore fishing while fishing from a boat than I ever did fishing from shore.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because in a lot of cases, I won't say in all cases, but you just mentioned, you know, we go to a lodge and we get in a boat and off we go, or we put FNC1 in the water and we go across the lake. We do. But out of 10 fishing trips, how many of those trips do we spend with the boat facing the shoreline and us working shoreline structure and cover?
Yeah.
I would say probably 8 or 9 of those 10 we do that. And to me, that's where I believe we picked up some of the knowledge that you shared in that blog for shore anglers. It was from fishing from a boat. Not saying that you can't be a good shore angler if you don't experience fishing from a boat, but what it does, it fast tracks you, gives you the ability to eliminate a lot of the non-productive areas off of a shore, off of a point, off of a dock, off of whatever you're fishing. And so what I found interesting in your piece was how many of those tips I could relate to finding out from a boat as opposed to ashore, right? So
Yeah.
It's really interesting. We spend a lot of time. Most fish, the easiest place to fish for fish is along some kind of a shore contour, whether it's a point or it doesn't even have to be an above water point, an underwater point that starts from a shoreline. All those areas are so much easier to fish when you understand them. And that blog did a great job of opening that up.
The one that I'm going to say blows your theory out, but it's a polar opposite. So when we're in the boat, we're all casting towards shore. And the one point I got there is you put the waders on, you're trying to get out further away from shore. It's like, what the hell are you going to do here? I'm trying to get out there. You're trying to get in here. What's going on here?
You and I did a show exactly like that. Do you remember? You were on shore. I was on the boat. And we were fishing the same spot.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're right. Right. You try to outdo it, right?
Yeah, you're casting past my baits. I'm casting out for it's like it's a mental thing. Like it honestly is. When you're trying to cover shoreline from a boat, you either want to get that bait right next to the shore, or you want to stay away out and have a long cast so you can cover the whole intermediate area, close, medium, and then close to your boats or anything like that. When you're on shore, inevitably, the first thing you want to do is see how far you can cast. And if I can't get that much, I got to go farther, put more weight on. I got to get my waders on. I got to get out there. Right? It's funny how we think. I guess that's just the instinct of anglers. So, but it's a good piece. If everybody's interested in shore, and you know what? You take these little tips I give, like the fan casting, you can do that in your boat too. So it's not just for shore fishing. So these tips, some of them in there are actually for you can use in a boat too. So slip bobbers, stuff like that. So lots of little tidbits in there.
We have a lot of folks out on the West Coast today. We see Doug says it's a great sunny day in Penticton. He watches Penticton, BC. What a beautiful part of the world. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, you got great beach weather. He said something about Osoyoos Lake. You got a salmon on Osoyoos Lake. Sockeye salmon. Oh, fishing open in Osoyoos. That's a great lake, Doug. That we fished it only for bass, but what a beautiful piece of water, and what a unique piece of water too. Right? Like it's got everything. I mean, it's in a Canadian desert. It's got some mountainy hillsides around it. It's a very cool piece of water for sure. Another thing on our site this week, Ange, before we get off, if we do get away from our website stuff, is that congratulations out to Chris Johnston from Peterborough, Ontario, who is the first ever Canadian to win a Bassmaster Elite event. So we just had Dave Mercer on here a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this and that in the BAS world, and this finally a Canadian has pulled the win, and he did it in somewhat dramatic fashion in that he was second place for 3 days to Paul Mueller, an American angler, who did a really good job coming up to Canada and beating Gussie and Corey and Chris Johnson along with everybody else holding that lead. But the last day, and this is a good story. The second last day, the winds came up in the afternoon, and everybody started to work their way. They're working on Lake Ontario and St. Lawrence River, and they started to work their way back because the winds started getting bad on Lake Ontario. Well, the wind stayed up all night and got worse. And most of the guys were saying, should we go to the lake or shouldn't we? Well, if we want the big bag of fish, we got to go to the lake. But you're going to have to fight 3 to 6 foot plus waves, right? So Chris, being a very experienced angler, and Corey, being very experienced anglers on Lake Ontario and in Wynn, knew that in order to win this event, I got to go to that lake. So the guys that went to that lake did well. Chris did the best. He had like a 20-something pound, over 20-pound bag, and he pulled the win off. But the interesting part is the weather was so bad. Each boat has a cameraman in it. Every boat that went to the lake, the cameraman got seasick out there on the final day. They were puking over the side of the boat. They couldn't shoot with the regular camera. They were holding their phones like this, like shooting like that as they were throwing up over the side of the boat. And that's how brutal it was. But But if you could probably go back and see some of the footage, I'm sure Bassmaster has that footage there. You'll see the conditions that Chris Johnston had to fish. They were giant waves. I mean, it's unreal. They just put the trolling motor into the wind and basically fished these rock piles on Lake Ontario, fighting these giant waves. So congratulations to Chris and Corey and Gussie. Corey got a top 10 and Gussie was 12th place too. So they all had a good finish. They're on right now. They're fishing Lake Champlain as we speak in another tournament. So they're back to back.
They should do well. They should do well there too, because all three of them have done historically well in that body of water. So it'd be great if all three could finish in the top 10 on that one.
Chris was top 10 yesterday. I think the first day. Chris again, he's carried on, but he was like 9th or 8th or something like that. So yeah, hopefully they'll do well in there. And it's another. That one's more largemouth and smallmouth. They could do both there, but. So yeah, we're Canada's showing up the map again.
Tony Schulist, who's a regular on this webcast, asks a question, and I bring it. I'm not ignoring everybody else, but this is a good lead into my next piece that I want to talk about. And Tony says, just wondering if you guys have done any shoreline trolling for muskie. And I'm not even going to answer that. I'm not even going to answer the question. I'm going to tell you about the big story this week, if you haven't already heard. About a Manitoba couple and anglers that were in northern Ontario on the Winnipeg River, just outside of the town of or community of Menaki. And Kim Driver was the woman's name. She was wading in the river. I'm assuming, we don't know for sure. We're trying to get her to come on this show, by the way, if not today, certainly next Friday. She was wading the river, and she was, according to her, up to her chest, wading. So I don't know what exactly she was doing. If she was fishing, that's possible, although highly unlikely. You're wading up to your chest. But anyways, whatever. She got not only bitten by a muskie, but pulled under by a giant muskie. And yeah. And left her requiring some extensive surgery. That is, there's a shot there. Plastic surgery that's going to be required to patch her up. But both her and her husband Terry told a news reporter from Global News last week that when they first saw the fish, it looked like an alligator. And so I'm going to throw this out there just as a thought, because we've dug back as far as we could go, and we have not found another news story, documented news story, where a muskie has actually attacked a human being that was standing in the water. We've all heard of the little rumors of people jiggling their toes in the water off a dock or in a canoe or whatever and getting nipped, but there's never been, as far as we can tell, and if somebody can tell us different and maybe show us some evidence, there's never been a documented muskie attack, certainly in this part of the world that I'm aware of, on a human that was in the water, actually walking in the water. So this is pretty unique, if in fact it is what it is. But I'm only throwing all this stuff out there because when they said that it looked like a gator, I'm just wondering, is it possible that it was a gator?
No.
Why? Why is that so ridiculous?
You can't live in Manitoba or northern, wherever that was. Was it Manitoba? Winnipeg River?
It's not Manitoba. It's Ontario. It's north of Kenora. But okay. Why would it be so far-fetched to think that somebody wouldn't have released a gator and it lived? I don't know.
It had to have released it this spring because it wouldn't live through that winter. Right there, those are warm. What the?
I have my personal assistant.
You got a Starbucks coffee. Did you bring a Starbucks? Hey, that's my cameraman. That's my new cameraman.
Hey, I know you. You're that fishing guy.
I'm that fishing guy. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at continuity, but I'm good on fishing. You know what I mean?
No, neither of us are good on continuity.
Actually, you guys are going to talk about that later on in the program. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Go drink mine.
Yes.
Where's mine? Where you got him? Where's mine?
So I throw that out there because
like it won't survive our winters. It can't survive our winters, so it has to be in the spring. No,
I wouldn't think.
They don't. They don't do well with in the cool, and up there, Manaki, that's really cold up there, right?
Yeah.
So everything.
And if you had told me 6 months ago that we would be wearing masks and being hunkered down in our homes and workplaces, not being able to travel, I'd have said, "Well, you can't. That's not going to happen because there's no reason for that to happen." This is 2020, my friend.
Come on,
okay?
Now. Okay. So you're telling me that you can't catch a virus? It's like the common cold. This COVID is like the common cold. You catch it as easy as that.
It's a cold. Oh, it's a cold now.
I said a virus, like the common cold. Is a virus that you pick up very easily, right? You look at when somebody's getting sick. Oh my God, there's the flu going around. Well, no shit. Everybody gets it. The world gets it. That's what happens with us because none of us are cautious enough. We need to be Howie Mandels and we have to wash our hands every minute of the day, and then we have to wear masks. Otherwise, you're going to catch this stuff, right? An alligator in northern Canada, surviving just living through one winter, that is not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to freeze his ass off. You're going to have gator tail for breakfast because the guy that brings it in is going to get to cut it up and eat all that nice meat on it. Anyway, you're right. There is a possibility, a slight possibility, but there's a better chance that it was a muskie. Okay, let's be honest. There's a better chance that it was a pike than a gator, and even pike never known to be biting people, but there's a better chance of that than a gator. So we'll put gator as third on the list. How's that? I'll give you the number 3 on that. I'll tell you what, though.
Listen,
look at that bite pattern. That's a big ass muskie, or that's a Barbie leg or something, because that's a big bite mark, right? Like look at that, how wide that is. Oh, that is
thing, to put a bite mark that size on that woman, that fish. Well, for sure, it's well over 50 inches and probably pushing 60. If you look at that bite mark and try and analyze the image and say that an average person has, I did that this morning, and we worked out that bite mark is about 10 to 12 inches in width. That is a huge muskie.
That's one big ass muskie. Now, very quickly, Mike, before we go to Ken's, just go back to that picture just for a second, if you can, Mike, please. I want to just make one note. I just noticed here. So if you look at that, as we're looking at all of that, the left side there, you see the long cuts. If that was an alligator, they'd be punctures straight in. They would be holes because an alligator's teeth are not sharp. They're cone shaped. They're like a walleye, right? They'd be like poking this finger into the hole, and it wouldn't, unless he thrashed, it would rip. Those are cuts, those are slashes like a muskie's tooth. So I'll bet you that was a muskie because they look like the serrated, sharp, bladed edge that a muskie has. So, sorry, I just had to put that in there. That's my scientific.
You go ahead.
You know what I mean? And now, Mikey, go back to that comment. Sorry, buddy. Ken Johnson. What are the chances a fish that bit the woman could have been northern snakehead? If not a muskie, that was my guess. They're invading up here and vicious. Yes, Ken, but are they that big? Look at that bite pattern Rance was just talking about. If that is even 8 inches across, that's a freaking big animal that bit her. Whatever that is big. Are our snakeheads that big? I don't think they are. I don't know, but I do believe that fish was big. You know what I mean?
Here's my problem with making the assumptions that this is a muskie. If that's the case, if that did happen, this fish didn't just bite her, by the way. According to the live reports, this fish, first of all, thrashed with her leg, okay?
Yep.
And then pulled her under.
Yep.
That is one hell of an aggressive muskie, which blows my mind completely. Because normally a muskie will listen. We know, we've all heard. Maybe even a lot of us have seen. Muskie taking a duck or even a goose off the surface of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's not a human being. Muskies are not. I think once the thing that's weird about this was not an appendage hanging in the water. This was a full body. It just seems so bizarre. I'm not.
Okay.
By the way, if you think I'm doubting this thing, this is real. This happened.
No, I know you're not. I know you believe it. You're just trying to figure it out.
I'm just trying
Right?
to figure out what the hell happened there,
So
because
let's say the woman is swimming. Let's say instead of wading, she was swimming. Kind of swimming around, whatever. Now your legs are horizontal. Her legs are horizontal versus vertical. Because if you're standing and waiting, and that muskie had to turn sideways, boom, grab her like that, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What if she was just pushed herself off and just cruised a little bit, and her legs went horizontally? Well, Angelo and I have experienced many, many times that muskie and pike and lake trout will T-bone another fish that's hooked, that's caught. They see it as an easy meal, and they will latch a hold of it. Well, they always latch a hold of that. I hope you can see this. Boom, like that.
right, exactly.
And they hang on to that son bitch. Now they're not letting go. Their teeth are dug in, and they're not letting go. So they T-bone that big prey, not normal prey. They did that big one because that's the way they eat. So if that leg in dirtyish water, let's say the water is a little bit off, like flashed in front of a fish, it thought food, whatever, boom, he T-bones it like that. So then all of a sudden she's turning. Well, you've seen it, Ange. We got it on our YouTube site. That fish did not let go. Ange catches a pike with a walleye T-bone, and he gets it right in the net before he released it. They get very aggressive with that. That whitefish or whatever it was that the pike had with you and Ray Colruyt, another show that he did. That thing was not going to let go, right? When they T-bone something, they hang on until almost their death because they think it's a meal. So does this muskie know that it's a human? No, this muskie doesn't know it's a human. But if it saw something running horizontal, it could have thought it was a meal and grabbed it that way. We have to get the lady, right?
I would buy the fact that this was a mutant pike. I would buy that fact real easy.
Mutant pike.
Muskie, like a giant pike, a 50, 55, 60-inch pike. I buy that. That I buy wholeheartedly because we've seen them do it. Like you just said, we've documented on tape where they go nuts and they don't really care about what's happening around them. But a muskie, I've never seen a muskie do that. In fact, every encounter we've had with a muskie, it always makes me believe that on the evolutionary scale, if you take a muskie and a pike, the muskie was the genius in the class, and pike not so much. Didn't really care about grades.
Wow, really, I'm opposite of that. I think
really?
100% opposite of that. A or I want to look at it as genius. I'll look at it as muskie is a kamikaze and doesn't care about anything, and a pike is very cautious and cares about everything. That's the way I look at it. Because
I'm the opposite.
See, but how many pike will attack a trolling motor propeller? How many pike will attack? How many pike do you catch in the prop wash when you're trolling at 5 miles an hour of your boat? Muskies have no problem coming in and smashing something doing that. Hey, this is I want that. Pike, you do that on your boat, the pike takes off. A 20-pounder, 30-pounder, in my experience. So I don't know. I think a muskie to me is the be-all, end-all, and I don't give a shit. I'm going to just go kill something, I'm going to eat something, and do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Well, it's I don't know how many of you have seen the story. We have it. I believe it's up now on fishingcanada.com, or it will be shortly. Look at it and see what you think. I know there's a lot of folks that are putting comments up. Maybe we can do a couple of them, Mike, before we move on. So Chris Bradbent says, I've seen it many times when goslings following their mother get engulfed. That is such an incredible scene to witness because it is, and it makes me wonder. I've seen it twice, and in both cases, I just, I try and humanize the victims and the predator in this case. And I do. I kind of say, okay, so what went through their minds, at that moment? What were they thinking? And it's just such a traumatic event when you see this taking place in real life. Just insane. But it happens every day. That's nature, right? It happens every day. Every time. Well, think what we do as anglers. We try and emulate that every single time we go out. We want that traumatic experience to happen, except our bait is the victim, right? That's exactly what we're doing. but to see it live,
I've never seen it live. I wish I could. I mean, it's horrible to sound, but I'd love to see it. It'd be so cool on anything, like a big e-sox on anything like that. That would be so cool. Kent, I had a 40-inch plus muskie grab a 2-pound largemouth last year, and had on for 10 minutes. Never hooked, but eventually it let go. That's exactly what I mean. They will grab a hold, and a lot of times they're just relentless. They just want that so bad they don't care. Pike as well too. So we got that. Ant's got that one in the net. So sometimes they're fearless as well too. But these fish, they don't. This fish the buddies there may have never seen a human before, and that's the first time that thing's ever seen a boat or whatever, and it just thinks, why is this bass so tough? And they don't think a lot, but it's pretty cool.
Sue says, if it was a big muskie, the head would have been fairly large. Yeah. You look down at some big ones, I'm sure. They do look like a big gator. They do. I'm on Lake Scugog. I've hooked in great muskie fishing there, by the way. Hooked into a few big ones here. Look like big gator coming across the water. Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
It's true.
I mean, in fact, we call them gators, right? In a lot of cases, we'll refer to them as gators. I'm just shocked. I'm in shock. I guess that's the biggest problem.
So we're fishing. Ant and I were fishing on French River, Upper French, 4 or 5 years ago. When we got the 250-inch muskies, it's on our website, and you look it up. You can put a search on there. And we got 250 inchers. You each got one, and those are big fish. 50-inch muskie is a nice trophy fish for anybody. But do you remember, Angela, you guys didn't see it, and I said that one day we were coming close to Chaudière, about halfway back, and we were casting that little series of islands, and I went, oh my God, boys! I had one follow under and went right underneath the boat, it was like this, and when Sue put that comment up, it reminded me of that. This fish was so wide across the head, it freaked me out. This is after us catching 250 inchers. Me catching one, netting one for hands, and we're holding them in pictures and blah, 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 and release them. This fish went underneath the boat, and it blew my mind as to how wide it was. It was not a whole lot longer than our 50s, but it was twice as wide. The head was flat, like, the way that on the top of a nose of a muskie and a pike, it's flat. It was between those big eyes. There's a big ramp there. It blew my mind. I could not believe. If anybody didn't know what that was, if it was an angler that didn't know what that was, they could, if they didn't see the legs, there's no legs there, but they'd say, my God, that looked like a crocodile without legs.
Yeah.
It was so big.
Crazy. Anyways, it's an incredible story. You have to read about it. It's on fishingcanada.com. And we're working on getting the woman on the program here with you. Maybe next week it'll happen. Sarah's trying to get her today even. But it's probably going to happen next week. I'm hoping she'll come on and talk to us about it, because I want to get that tingly feeling talking to the person who actually got.
Oh my God!
It's like, because
she might not like it. She must be, it might be a whole trauma thing still going through there. Because it had to hurt. There's no doubt about it. It had to hurt. It's probably still hurting, right? It's been a week ago-ish or something, maybe less than a week, but that's still probably hurting.
Less than a week. Yeah, she's scheduled to have surgery, I believe, next week.
Oh my God!
Some skin grafts and stuff to fix it
up.
Yeah,
plastic surgery. Wow.
Let me just mention this in case it happens now, because I see the time. Because around this time, we're supposed to be getting a call from the Honorable John Yakubuski, the Minister of Natural Resources and Forests, to break a story here on our little. Well, break it electronically. He's actually breaking the story right now live in Fenelon Falls, Ontario. And the story is about something that he's been working on for about 8 months. In fact, there was a petition on the government site all of last summer, and a lot of us weighed in on it, regarding cormorants and what we should do in terms of trying to put a lid on this creature's explosiveness in terms of expansion. It is everywhere now. I remember 10, 15 years ago, we were complaining about it here in Southern Ontario, but Northern Ontario still didn't have any evidence of them. Well, now you can go anywhere and there's cormorants. And there are flotillas of cormorants, even on outback lakes, and they're destroying everything. Not just the fishery, that's obviously paramount with us, but they're destroying the landscape. They're destroying islands. They're shorelines. Anywhere where they take up residence, they're leaving destruction behind. So for years we've been talking about what do we do, and the Honorable Minister Muskie put it out there last summer, and overwhelmingly he was told we need to call some kind of a call and try and get the numbers down, the population down. So he's announcing right now as we speak, and hopefully he'll come on the program here in the next little while and tell us the same thing. There will be a cormorant call this September. It's going to run from September to December, apparently. And
Wow.
I don't know anything else about it. I don't know what
we can't speculate on something like that. We have to hear from the horse's mouth. But I mean, it is what it is. There can't be a whole lot more to it. I mean,
I don't think it's going to be the Wild West. I don't think.
No.
I don't think, it's just going to be, okay, let's go out and have at it. It's going to be very controlled, but at least it's a step in the right direction. And we'll see. Hopefully he'll come on. He's trying, but like I said, he's announcing it as we speak live at an event. So he said, if I can get off there and sneak out to my phone, I will. Would love to come on and share it with our audience. So hopefully John will join us here shortly. What else?
I have to say that I've done a lot of duck hunting in my day, and there's so many ethical hunters out there that I can't see this. Even though we all want them gone, let's just be honest. There's a lot of people that want these cormorants at least tamed down, if not gone completely. There's so many ethical hunters out there. Like, really, people think that these guys get their guns, they get their camo gear on, and they put their chest waders on, and they go out and smash everything that they can. Let's shoot this, let's shoot that, and let's shoot the other. That is so not true. I'm going to stick up for the hunters here, and that good hunters, like everything, it's like bad fishermen. They're going to catch everything, keep everything out of season. It doesn't matter. There's bad in everything. But for the most part, hunters are so ethical. They care more about wildlife than anybody else out there. I guarantee you they care more about wildlife than PETA cares about wildlife. PETA's out there to make money on this. These guys are out there to have a good harvest, have their deer this year and get the meat, and then next year have a good hunt. If they don't get one, well, I'll go for the next year and we'll just keep it going. You know what I mean? They know their money is going into it properly, and they're not killing everything they see.
This is more of, this goes beyond ethical hunting, though. I mean, this, make no mistake about it. This bird, this cormorant. Did you push the last call?
I'm trying to. Hey! Look at this. The last call.
I love it.
That was an accident that happened perfect. How's that for an accident that happened perfect? I'm going to share another image. I can't remember how I did this. I got another image to share. As you're doing this, I don't know how to do this now, but go ahead. Sorry, I'll try and figure this out.
This goes beyond, ethical hunting. This is a problem. This is a very serious problem. Anybody, and I'm sure there's very few, if any, of you watching this webcast. But if anybody out there doesn't realize just how much destruction this bird is leaving behind everywhere it goes, man, there's something wrong. There is something.
You see that?
Yeah.
I can't see it in you. How am I going to change this? I got to get this. I got to get that. It's Metallica's album called Kill 'Em All. As soon as I heard that, Kill 'Em All.
Just what we need, eh? That's like, there you go. That'll help the situation.
I'm talking about ethical hunters, but I might not be so ethical when it comes to cormorants. So, okay, everybody.
So what they leave so much destruction behind, and it's funny because the people who have been trying to protect the cormorant and currently are trying to stop this from taking place, this call, don't obviously have total disregard for the creatures that the cormorant is destroying. I mean, that's the way I can think about it. And see, the thing about hunters, you mentioned hunters, they're the greatest conservationists on the planet, albeit maybe for selfish reasons, because they know that if they keep that perfect harmony, that perfect balance of nature, they're going to be able to hunt for generations upon generations.
Absolutely.
Whatever the motive is, it doesn't matter to me, because they get it. They know that as humans, we need to keep that harmony and that balance. The problem with, and I might as well call a spade, the problem with tree huggers, they don't think that way, because they're willing to sacrifice one piece of nature for another. They're willing to trade it off. Whereas most outdoors people, hunters, for the most part, they're not willing to trade anything off.
Yeah.
They want to work it so that it's perfectly neutral and everybody flourishes and prospers in their way of thinking. Whereas tree huggers, no, they don't care. They don't care. They'll save a tree and kill a swamp. They don't care. You know.
I love the way I love the way you're calling them tree huggers, because this is the perfect scenario. If they were to hug the trees that the cormorants roost in, they'd be hugging a dead tree full of cormorant shit that was killed by ammonia. Okay, that's exactly because they devastate trees in particular. They when they roost in these trees, they poop in the trees, and there's ammonia in their poop, and they just they'll wipe out an entire island of trees. You'll see it out there. People look around, sometimes you don't even notice. You say, wow, why is all the trees, the leaves dead in that one little area there, and then everything else is green? Because the cormorants are up in that tree and they're pooping, they're just killing it. So tree huggers, they can't hug those trees because those trees are dead. So it's a good point, Ange. I love that.
Yeah, they don't realize it. So you're trying to save one, but that one is destroying everything else. So I don't get it. I don't understand the thinking process. For me, it's very simple.
You know why? They're thinking because they don't think we know that. They'll just say, oh, let's just pretend we're going to save the cormorants and look like heroes doing that. And we won't tell them about the trees. We won't tell them about the devastation, about this, that, and the other. We'll just tell them about what we're doing here for the good of the cormorant. And people buy into that. Oh, really? Oh, good for you. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have a minister in place that thinks a little differently and is not afraid to put his mark on things. He's not afraid of the backlash, because I'm sure that when this announcement is made, well, it's being made as we speak, he's going to get a ton of backlash.
Sure,
but good on him. Good on him. If hopefully he'll come on the program and share that great news with us. But I got to be honest with you, Pete. I'm seriously contemplating, and I don't know what the arrangement is going to be, how it's going to be done and handled. I'd love to go out and participate. And I don't hunt. Yeah, I would. It'd be cool. I think it'd be cool.
I got a shotgun with your name all over it, buddy. My gun will just do a nice job. We'll just share it. Boom, boom, back and forth. You know what? Yeah, it sounds cruel or whatever, but it's not cruel. Obviously, you're culling for a reason. They're not killing these things for no reason. They're killing them for a reason. And if you do it properly, where you get rid of the carcasses, you don't leave them laying out there, do everything properly like that, and have some fun at it too. Duck hunting is such an exciting, fun sport. Part of that is getting the shot at, making that great shot of a bird that's flying 30 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So you'd have some fun with it, dude. We can get you out there.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to have Nick sit in for me. I know you two went out yesterday and did some stuff out in the water. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to reminisce about that. All right? I'll be back.
Okay, Angelo. So just set it up. Yeah. So obviously shooting the TV stuff right now in lodges. Hello, Nick.
Hello,
Nicky V from Fishing Canada fame and fortune, of course. You know what I mean? So your name is Ange on the screen, but that's okay.
Must be a way to change that.
No respect, buddy. No respect. So just to bring update to everybody, we want to shoot a lot of web stuff as well as TV stuff. With the lodges not being open right now, we're stuck to local shooting for TV, and so we thought, we'll do some web stuff. So go ahead.
Oh, we're being interrupted.
We have the minister waiting to come on, so I've got to break in.
This
Kick
is
his
short.
ass out of there.
Nice to see all of you. Have a great day.
Thanks for working with us very quickly. Nick and I went out and did a little shooting yesterday, getting our new season underway. He did a great job. He did a great job.
All right. I understand the minister is finally got through, and we're going to bring him on, and hopefully he'll have some great news for us. The Honorable John Yakubuski. Hey, John.
Hey, Angelo, Pete, how you doing?
Good, buddy.
Doing great, buddy.
We're up at Sturgeon Lake. It announced an opportunity to tour around Muscat Island to firsthand the devastation that cormorants have done to that island, and also the fact that not only to the island itself, but the effect they have on fish stocks. 143,000 cormorants in this province of Ontario eating a pound a day each has a massive effect on our fish stocks. Today, we announced that we'll have a cormorant season open from September 15th to December 31st, 2020, to give people an additional tool to help control that population that has been growing in many areas of the province, static in some other areas, but not shrinking anywhere. And since I've been an MPP for 17 years, that's one of the questions I've been asked repeatedly is, when are we going to do something to control the cormorant population that is devastating property and islands, particularly islands here in Ontario? 344 colonies in the province, continuing with that devastation. We've listened to the people. We brought in a season short to a reasonable season, September 15th to December 31st. All regulations surrounding it. You cannot abandon the bird once it's been harvested. You must dispose of it properly, limiting to 15, a bag limit of 15 per day. So I think we've hit the sweet spot, Angelo, based on all of the feedback we received, all for those in favor and those not in favor. But I think we've landed in the right spot. And thank you for having us on your new blog show.
Oh, I thank you for sharing that with us, John. We've been talking about, while we were waiting for this morning, we were talking about the whole philosophy behind it, and how it's pretty easy for most people who are not into the outdoors, most people who don't hunt and don't fish and don't enjoy nature for what the same way that we do. It's pretty easy to say, hey, like, what do you mean you're going to call the cormorant? Like, when you think about it, if you don't understand it, it's pretty easy. But when you start looking at it, you just mentioned some numbers there that are staggering. If you just think,
143,000 pounds per day, that's about the weight of 50 small cars, Angelo. When you put it, anybody can relate to that. And we recognize there are some people that oppose, but Angelo, you and I know there are people that oppose the harvest of any animal. And we respect that. Everybody's entitled to their views. But if they live on one of these lakes, or if they visit one of these lakes, even if they vacation on one of them and see the effect and the number of birds on that lake and the smell around those islands that they inhabit, the effect of it is absolutely breathtaking. No pun intended, because I was trying to hold my breath when I was going around that island. But I think people have a right to be able to enjoy their property, and without any real natural predators in the ecosystem, steps had to be taken. And this is not, we're not going to endanger the population of cormorants. We're going to make sure that there's a sustainable, safe population. But we can't have situations where literally, where I was today, thousands of cormorants in one small island. I mean, that's just not I don't think anybody can argue that that's not a healthy situation. And quite frankly, even the Ministry of Health has agreed that there have been some illnesses transmitted in the water from around those islands that they're not 100% certain of the origin, but we certainly can't rule out that the amount of guano that is and droppings around that area has an effect.
What's the range, John? What's the range of these birds? Like, is it? I know that we used to see them up in Kenora. You see them down in southern Ontario. Are they all over the province, or are they just in certain areas? Or?
No, pretty well all over the province, depending upon the time of, they're later, the farther north you go, the later they're going to get there and the sooner they're going to leave. But these are migratory birds. They come as Mexico, they winter, even as far as Chile. I'm not sure if the Chilean ones come here, Chilean ones come here, but they're a bird that is certainly a problem in many areas. And we're the first government that has recognized the need to take some measures to give people an additional tool in that toolbox to help control them in their environment.
John, I was going to ask you, to the best of your knowledge, has anything like this ever taken place before in this province, where where the government has come in and said,
I'm
"Hey,
not aware of this. I'm not aware that there's ever been a cormorant hunt because, Angelo, you and I are roughly the same age. I know that. You look a lot better, I have to admit. But in our lifetime, there's never been anything like this.
Yeah.
But when we were growing up, we didn't have an exploded cormorant population either. Cormorants were something we barely heard of.
Yeah.
And so since the 1970s is when they've really exploded in population and numbers.
John, are you at liberty to give us any other details in terms of are there going to be restricted areas? Is there a certain size of a projectile that can be used? Like, what are the rules and regs on
Yeah,
this?
maximum 10 gauge. Limits per day. You must dispose of the carcass. There are a number of other regulations that will be released as well. And to be fair, I don't have all of them on the top of my head because we just finished making the announcement. But they will be posted for everyone to see plainly as well.
Has there been anything before we let you go? Has there been anything talked about regarding, you mentioned disposal? Is there any value to can they be repurposed for food for maybe animals or?
I've heard that theory potentially talked about. I don't have any real data on it. Okay. Most people would never eat one. To be quite honest with you, it would be not the most appetizing thing to eat, but there is some talk of some potential, just like dead stock animals are used in the animal feed business, perhaps. But I don't have any concrete data on that.
Okay.
And if your Labrador Retriever goes out to pick one up, turns around and says, "I'm not bringing that back," you know that thing's not good to eat. Okay, just to let you know.
When your dog won't pick it up.
That's a good yardstick feat.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think this would have been possible? And I don't want to sort of make up scenarios here, but do you think this would have been possible if we weren't in the middle of this insanity called a pandemic right now? Do you think this was part of the thinking here, or how did you deal with it?
Well, we actually passed the legislation last November. Okay. It was part of our legislation in the fall economic statement. The pandemic and the needed time to get the regulatory stuff in place slowed it down. But that's, in a way, that was a good thing because I think it gave us the opportunity to make sure we get it right.
So before I let you go, one last comment I want to make. Now that we've got the cormorant situation done, do you think we're going to have a 2-rod carp regulation somewhere in the future?
Well, I'm ready for it. I need the cooperation of my federal counterpart in the federal government, but we are certainly continuing to press on that. And the pandemic has said it wouldn't have happened this year, even if we did have the authority, because of all of that, most likely. But we're still very hopeful for next year, Angelo.
Perfect. Listen, we appreciate you doing this with us today. I know you're up to your elbows and stuff up there. For you to take a break just means so much to us, and I know our audience absolutely appreciates it. Keep up the great work. I've told you before, thank God we had this government in place when we hit this little roadblock in our history. I wouldn't want anybody else at the helm looking after us right now. So keep up the good work.
Thanks, Angelo. Appreciate you having us on. Take care.
All right. Take care. The Honorable John Yakubuski coming on our program and breaking it live electronically. How thrilling is that, people?
That is awesome, buddy. That is so awesome. What a great guy. Eh? What a great guy.
John is
he's down there.
Right from the very first day that he was appointed. And, he came in right behind another really great minister, as far as I was concerned. And so I was a little bit, when they first put him in, because I didn't know John prior to him becoming Minister of Natural Resources. Jeff Urich, if you recall, was the minister for a short period of time, and Jeff was outstanding. But I got to tell you, John is he gets it.
Yeah,
he understands. And that's so refreshing to have a politician who understands, So anyways.
So how many, My question now, going out, we want to engage the audience a lot here. How many of you people are going to participate in this cormorant call? It's going to be perfectly legal. Are you waterfowl hunters to begin with? And I'm sure you will, because you transition into that, no problem at all. But those that maybe sometimes hunt, maybe they don't hunt, maybe they're thinking of hunting or whatever, would you get involved with in the cormorant call? I mean, it's perfectly legal. You're helping the cause. I mean, what he just said, right? Well, 143,000 pounds of fish a day are being eaten by these things around the province. That's ridiculous.
I have a question for you. He said there was a limit of 15 a day?
15 birds a day, yeah.
Okay, so what would it cost? What's it going to cost me to get my limit every day?
Well, it would be, I mean, he said up to 10 gauge. Most guys are going to shoot a 12 gauge shotgun, right? That's the most popular gauge. That 12 will knock them down. I would recommend going, I don't know how tough a cormorant is. I know how tough mergansers or whistlers like diver ducks are, and they're tough as nails. So you want to go with a 12 gauge. You want to have ample power out there. You're going to run, the person that doesn't shoot a lot, you're going to run through a few boxes of shells out there, let me tell you, just to let you know. You're going to, I'd say you're going to, I don't, honest to God, I couldn't tell you. I mean, some guys are going to be, they're going to be a crack shot and they can do it for $20. You know what I mean? Some people are going to be more than that for sure, you know? And so
safe to say it could be upwards of $50 a day.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Sure.
Not like there's no investment. So there's going to be an investment by everybody, right? So it's not like we're all going to go out and just, like I said, it's not going to be the Wild West. I don't think it's going to be the Wild West. No. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating, you know?
Because you want to make sure, too, a tough bird like that, you can count on a lot of those birds are going to take more than one shot for one bird. So if you knock it down with one shot, you want to put him out of his misery no matter what. If you hate him, love him, whatever, you got to put him out of misery real quick, right? So you're going to put another one on top of him or another two, you know, on top of him like that. So there's 3 shots per bird sometimes, right? Depends on how far they are, et cetera, et cetera. So, so you got to get that.
You have to dispose of it, which means you have to have a dog to retrieve that bird?
No, because a lot of duck hunters have a boat. So go out and get it with a boat, canoe, go out and get it with a canoe. Chest waders, you go out and wade out and get it like that. So there's lots of ways of retrieving your birds. See, you got to remember that anybody that's duck hunted is already retrieving their birds one way, shape, or form or another. They don't leave them, shoot them and leave them. It's not a sport, right? Because they're delicious. We eat them. So you go shoot your ducks, you get it. If you have a dog, it's the best way of doing it. He brings it back for you. That's the best part of duck hunting. But yeah, your canoes, we've done canoes, waders. I've seen guys use a fishing rod to cast it with a grappling hook and bring it in. I've seen that even, believe it or not.
Can you because I'm assuming you have to follow all the current regulations for fowl hunting for waterfowl. Could we, for example, take FNC1 out to some of those mid-lake islands in Lake Ontario and could we shoot from FNC1?
The rule used to be, and I'm sure it's the same, as long as the motor is not running, you can shoot from your boat, believe it or not. So you set up, that's why a lot of guys use boats to hunt out of, right? My buddy Hitman, he just bought, or he's going to buy this week, he bought a duck hunting boat. And it's designed for that. It's 90 horsepower tiller motor on it. You get it out to the spot. And as long as that motor's shut off, so you're anchored or whatever like that, as long as the motor's shut off, you're legal to shoot. So,
okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Put up some questions. If you got questions about this, well, I'm excited, as you can tell. I mean, I'm truly going to try and see if I can work it out and participate. I think it'd be so cool. Paul wants to know, allowing to shoot the cormorants gives you something to do during the afternoon when ducks and geese are not flying.
There you go. Because I'll tell you what, duck hunting and goose hunting is a morning and evening sport. It's like, it is unbelievable. You know, when you're fishing, you want to be there at the crack of dawn. That's just because it might be nice. It might be a top water bite. Well, duck hunting, I'll tell you what, you got to be there before light. Your decoys are out, you're set up before light, because the birds, they're all doing this, flying into the areas of the swamps for feeding or for resting or whatever. And then you know, it slows right down at 10, like 9 o'clock in the morning. A lot of times she's shut right down, or not, you know, rarely see another bird. So
our good friend Calvin says, careful that you don't try and solve one problem and create another.
Okay, Calvin, obviously you're fishing at saying your next statement, which will be, what problem is that, Calvin?
Yeah, you let us know what that problem is, and we'll try and fix it for you right here. We can do anything. now that we've had a minister actually call into this program and participate, we can do anything. I think we're good.
Well, as a matter of fact, we at 1:30, another 25 minutes, we have Kim, the woman that was attacked by the Muskie. She's going to be coming on at 1:30. So just
No way.
Well, so far, we're going to hope for that. I've got news brought in here, so just to let you know that John Yakubuski might not get outdone with that one, but he's going to have a parallel with a woman that got attacked by a muskie. So that's going to be pretty cool.
This will go down as the greatest episode we've ever done if we get her on.
Oh my God, yeah. Think about it.
So
I want Calvin to get back with that one on that.
Hey,
Arthur,
how you doing, buddy? I think the problem is going to come when one of these dead birds shows up on some tree hugger's lawn. Then we'll have another spring bear hunt situation. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, that could be maybe what going into what Calvin's saying too. Like we have to be responsible about this for sure. And again, I'll go back to it, Arthur. I'm telling you. I mean, I don't know if you've duck hunted or not, but every duck hunter that I know, guy that has spent his money on shotguns, on decoys, on boats, on the whole 9 yards, his gear and all that, is very ethical, and they know this is a gift to them. If they want to help, they don't have to shoot cormorants. If they want to help, they can go do it. Now, if you got rednecks out there, they're let's go and get them all, then that might be a problem.
And that's what I think the concern should be: is the idiots who are going to abuse this. You know it for a fact, right? They're out there. We have them in fishing. God only knows. I know we have them in fishing. I encountered some a few months ago. But anyways, Ryan wants to know if 10 gauge is the only shotgun allowed, and 10 gauge are banned under the new gun law. How are you supposed to shoot these birds?
There's two things there. Number one, they're not. You heard him wrong, Ryan. He said 10 gauge or under, so you can use 10 or 12 or 20 or 28, whatever you feel good with. So he said the 10 gauge max or something like that, because I think there are even bigger than that illegal guns out there like that. And the other thing is that those new gun laws, I think there are still. It's a bore size, right? So there are some 10 gauge shotguns I think that can still be used. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to say that for sure. We need somebody in the world of guns that could say that would work. But
I have a question. In fishing, for example, we have areas where you're allowed a combination of so many of each species for a total sum of fish in your possession at any given time. I wonder, is there anything like this in waterfowl hunting? Like, 6 mallards and 2 this and 1 of that, but only a combination of 1 of these and 6 of those. And if so, I wonder if cormorant are going to sort of upset that number.
I don't believe that, unless that's something new to me. You used to be able to, when I hunted ducks a lot, you'd have your 2 redheads, your 2 canvasbacks, your 6 mallards, your 5 wood ducks. If you got them all, you can keep them all. You're allowed to do that. You're not going to get them all because it's never going to happen. Wood ducks, you won't shoot a limit of wood ducks where you're going to shoot a limit of canvasbacks. You're not going to, you know what I mean? It's just there's different environments and teal and that. But yeah, geese, you're allowed your geese on top of your ducks, et cetera, et cetera. So you could. So in a day, if you were a traveling hunter, you could go traveling and shoot different species if you wanted.
Well, I love the comment we got earlier on about this is a great, mid-afternoon break from your hunt, right? Your early morning, late at night hunt. This is a great way to spend the rest of the day out in the field enjoying what you. That's right.
Well, now you and me, entrepreneurs, you and me have to invent some cormorant decoys real quick. Okay.
Do you think you need them?
Oh yeah.
Really?
You want to get a good shot at them. You want to make sure you get them in range, right? You got to remember, this is another misconception that people get. You see ducks and geese flying over, and they're flying over at 75, 80 yards away or more. You're thinking, wow, those guys can shoot. You can't shoot a bird at 100 yards away. There's no gun on this earth that'll knock that bird down 100 yards away. No shotgun that's legal with steel shot on the water, etc. You gotta have it in good range. So a good range for a tough bird like that is 30 yards. Okay, that's
100 feet.
100 feet. You go 40 yards on that bird, you might just cripple him if he takes off. So you want to make sure like 20 to 30 is beauty,
So now thinking back of all the cormorant exchanges that we've had, encounters, Yeah, they'd be pretty skittish at 100 feet, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're farther away than you think. But most of the ones we've seen are not in range. They're not. I mean, the ones you see in range are the one when you're driving your boat and they're not getting out of the way until finally they fly off the water. Or you skitter up that big flock. Finally, they get the hell out of the way. Those are the ones you get close to. But so for them to decoy, that's why I said you'd probably need decoys because they hang around with each other, right? It's typical of ducks too. They're not just going to land boom in front of you in a blind that's nothing else in front of you. You're gonna need to decoy them in and attract them somewhere somehow. So you're gonna see people starting to now sell cormorant decoys. I'll bet you now that it's legal, it's gonna happen for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I know that it's not ethical to shoot ducks if they're on the water, right? That's kind of it's not legal or not ethical, or
well, it's legal, but you can't. Yeah, it's just not ethical. It's something like some guys don't care. They want to shoot for meat and whatever. They can do that.
All right. That's with ducks. Now, I don't think ethics are going to enter into the cormorant hunt, though, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, what I'm saying is we've seen so many times where they completely overcrowd a little island and they're roosting in every possible little twig and tree and right. So you could technically, and those birds are not very timid when they're in that environment. As you know, we've gone up to them with our boat, right up to. Well, I guess you could do that. You could.
Sure, you could.
Right up to them, and one shot you could take out, I don't know, 20, 30 birds.
No. Okay, that's a good point. So yes, that would be one good way of getting them because what you'll do is you'll be able to set up for your second and third shot. You're only allowed 3 shots in your shotgun, right? So 3 shells for waterfowl hunting. So you take that 1 or maybe 2 birds out of the tree. If he's in a tree, let's say he's or nesting on the ground. We'll say nesting on the ground because then you get more than 1 bird. But it's still, even if they're grouped tightly, your shotgun pattern is only 30 inches or something like that, in good dead kill range. So I'm maybe a little off on that one, but so you might get 2 or 3 birds on that first shot. You're not going to get 20 or 30. When they start flying in that big flock and going away, the big misconception that people have is they're going to flock shoot and they're going to get a bunch of them. Well, you learn very quickly as a duck hunter that you pick 1 bird. You make sure you pick 1 bird and aim for that bird, and then you get him. You might get a second bird if you're lucky, but most often you don't, believe it or not. So that shotgun shell goes out there quick. It goes fast, but it doesn't spread to this kill range of 100 birds and 10 birds or 5 birds. I've shot 2 ducks in the air at one time about 5 times in my life. And very, if you try to do that, you probably won't. As soon as you start flock shooting, it's weird. I don't know why. I mean, we shot mallards out of a field, and when I was really young, and they came in. We had the spot. They were coming in droves, and I couldn't hit one. I'm thinking, why can't I kill a duck? I'm shooting, and there's 30 of them up there. It's because I was flock shooting and never picked one out. You know what I mean? As weird as it sounds, and there was tons of them. But they just you got to pick a bird out. So, but going on to that tree, absolutely. So what you do is you hit that first bird out of the tree. Now you're set up with 2 more shots. They're all going to get out of the tree. Now you could get a triple very easily on that. You know what I mean? If you're a good shot.
Calvin says the optics look good, but this could get dangerous if not strictly controlled.
Of course.
Yeah.
Anything could be.
Yeah. Any hunting, but this one has the possibility. I think he's right of it becoming because of what it is. And because people who are going to go shoot them, well, I just told you, I would contemplate doing it, and I'm not a hunter. So when you put people like me into that scenario, it can get ugly pretty quickly, right? Because inexperience.
You have to take your hunter safety course. You'd have to go now and get your hunter safety course. So you need a hunting license and all that, right? So you do get some knowledge by taking these courses because they are very good. They're thorough. Yeah. You don't learn everything that's out. Most hunting stuff you learn out in the field, etc. It's just like fishing and all that. But you got to also remember, Calvin. You got to remember this too. We're not shooting rifles as waterfowl hunters. We're shooting shotguns, and the kill range, as I was just talking about, is very short. A 22 rifle is dangerous up to a mile. Well, a shotgun is only dangerous. If at 200 yards, I'll let anybody shoot me at 200 yards with a 20 gauge shotgun. I'll stand there with a t-shirt. It'll hurt a little bit, but it ain't gonna do it. It might not even make it. It probably wouldn't even make it.
Don't try this at home, kids. Okay, that's not what he's saying. He didn't mean that.
I said, me, shoot me. Don't shoot them. Shoot me.
Man,
You can take me out. But anyways, yeah, it's gun in hand. So there's going to be safety issues. But let's all be smart and careful about it, and take care of business and save 143,000 pounds of fish a day. Maybe not that much because we're not going to kill them all, but let's save 100,000 pounds of fish a day.
Can you imagine? You imagine what it's going to do? I saw earlier on a couple of comments regarding the fishery, walleye in a particular lake. That the numbers had, and we don't even think about this, but it's the truth. Everything that's happened, I think, in the last 5 to 8 years in terms of depletion of our wild fisheries, and some of these, especially the closed outback lakes. I don't think we put the cormorant in front of the committee often enough with regards to there. Walleye population definitely dropped in a small lake near me. The cormorants destroyed the island, but last year they mysteriously disappeared, and already this year the walleye seem to be back again or more active again. And I think that's a coincidence. It won't recover that quickly, but I do think that there's less pressure on them. If the cormorants are gone, those fish are less pressured because they get as much pressure, if not more, from a flotilla of cormorants than they will from an angler any day.
All day, every day.
All day long, right? So I agree. I see some difference, but you're not going to see a difference in terms of actual numbers right away. It'll take years to get back.
I wonder if, though, think about this one, because I can't remember what his name was that just said it was a good point. But what if the walleye change and go in protective mode because of the cormorants? So now they go deeper. They try to go deeper than what they saw. All of a sudden, they're deeper for the whole season or 2 seasons. And now that the cormorants aren't around, you go, okay, you know what? We can go back to our normal. I wonder if they would be smart enough to do that, right? They got to be fighting for their life, right? So you could notice the behavioral difference of walleye, not the numbers as Anne's saying, because you won't, but the behavioral difference might be a change in year to year. And when the cormorants are gone, they start coming back up and doing their normal thing again. Maybe.
I think especially in lakes that are not noted, like we'll take Lake Scugog because that's the easiest one to point out right now because it's closed. The fishing, the walleye population has declined so drastically in that body of water that it's now shut down. But taking a lake like Scugog, I don't think that would be the case. I think in this Scugog, it is definitely a dwindling inventory. Walleye, it's a numbers thing. But in open lakes, where they don't have that great weed cover, I think depth is their only. And even so, we've seen how deep these cormorants can go, right? I mean, so
they're ridiculous.
They're insane in terms of once they've got something in sight, they'll chase it down to the very bottom of that lake. So
I scuba dove. Remember that dive I did with Brian from Next Door Dive Source? We did up on the St. Lawrence River, and we dove a wreck, and then we came back up and fished it. Well, during that dive, we actually saw a cormorant feeding down under the water there, and you would not believe, people that you're watching here, you would not believe how fast, how much of a feeding machine, and how devastatingly killer instinct that thing has when it's swimming around under that water in current. It was unbelievable how fast it was going. It was swimming faster than fish. Like, to catch a fish underwater with your hands, you can't do it. As a human, you can't even do it. Think about how fast a cormorant must be, how much of a killing machine he is to be able to do that underwater. It was crazy when I saw it.
I saw that. I remember you talking about that when you went on a shoot. Here's another question I have for you. Here's another question I have, and I don't know whether anybody watching this can please feel free to jump in. So we've already agreed, the minister himself already said that, they're not really good for eating. And you've said that yourself. But I have a question about that. So these birds feed on fish.
Right.
That's all they feed on. It's not like they go to the dump like a bear. Okay, these birds eat one thing and one thing only. They eat our fish. We fish for these fish in order to catch them and consume them.
Right.
We love it. We talked earlier on, we talked an hour and a half ago about how wonderful it is to have a feed of trout, right?
Right.
Can you explain to me why in the hell these birds would not be at the very top of the most wanted list when it comes to culinary delights?
Okay. So I can't give you the scientific proof of it, but I can give you the Pete Bowman's biting into one of them dirty sons of bitches cousins. Okay. So the first time I ever tried, I thought, why is a merganser not captain killed and eaten and all that? So I killed the merganser because I wanted to try to eat it. And the first thing is you almost puke your guts out when you cut them open because the fish smell in there, it was the worst thing I ever smelled in life. So it's like, oh my God, this ain't a duck. What the hell what is this thing I just cut open like that? The meat is, I don't even know how to explain it, but they think because they don't just eat perch. They eat zebra mussels, they'll eat snails, they'll eat anything, crustaceans, they'll eat all of it, right? So I'm sure that some of that probably isn't as good as other meat. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing at this one. And it just turns into more of a rancid bird when you cut it open than that. And even the meat, when you breast them, like you're not going to cut the legs, you're not going to, certainly not going to bake it in the oven, right? Because with all the fish crap that comes out of them right off the bat, so you cut the breasts out, you say, okay, at least I can do that. You marinate the hell. So I would go to Whistler's. After that, I tried that. I did not even eat the bird. So Whistler's like a diver duck that primarily eats fish or snails or whatever in the winter, in the late fall. We're December hunting, let's say. Those birds, I'll breast them off. I will literally soak them in salt water for 2 days to get rid of all the blood and all the extra taste that it has. And only then and there will I'll fry them, and it'll taste like fried liver, which some people love, right? So it does taste good, but it takes a lot of preparation to get to it versus a mallard you can kill out of a cornfield and eat that same an hour after you do it like that. So there's something about the fish getting into their body, into their blood, into their stream that makes them not pleasant to eat. That's all I can say. If you took a wood duck and you take a wood duck and compare it to a cormorant, I can put them both on your plate, and I guarantee you're going to like one, and the other one, I don't know what the hell you're going to think of. That's all
you are what you eat, right? Scott Stewart says, I love Canada goose, but the resident ones on Vancouver Island taste like shit. They eat a lot of crap. So
that's a good. That's a great point. You see, and Canada goose is good eating, and the wild goose is great eating. Corn-fed goose, ones that eat the beads out of the lakes, they're all good. But so you are what you eat.
It's a real shame because think about it. If we could get over that, and maybe somebody comes up with a way of, I don't know, marinating them or I don't even know, but somehow making them consumable. What a wonderful story that would be. If we did nothing else other than bring all of these birds to a center somewhere, and then they were treated and they were dressed and all that, and they went to feed the homeless.
Yeah, exactly.
What a wonderful story that would be, right?
It would be so nice. Listen, to change the subject, Kim apparently is in the waiting room, the Muskie victim. So I think we got to get her on more sooner than later, right? I would think.
Here we go. Here we go. This is about the story that I talked about a half hour ago. A Manitoba woman and her husband were fishing in Manaki, Ontario, on the Winnipeg River. Oh, I'm assuming they were fishing. We're going to find out here in a minute. And lo and behold, she was accosted by a muskie.
Accosted? Wow.
Yeah, that was big enough to drag her under the water. And she joins us now, and I really appreciate you joining us. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
First of all, thank you so much for joining us. We know you. I'm sure you're fielding a lot of phone calls and messages, and everybody wants you on. But this is so interesting for us for a number of reasons. We are, we love fishing for muskie. Have been most of our lives. A lot of the folks who are on watching this with us have grown up fishing muskie, but this puts a whole new slant on that species. Can you tell us what happened? Walk us through the whole process, if you could.
Well, there was about 10 to 12 of us. We were down on the beach at North Star Village, just floating on floaties. And then we decided to hop in the water and go for a swim. And I was just standing there, and the water was just up to my chest. And all of a sudden I felt this thing brush up against my left leg. I thought it was weeds or something that rubbed on me. And then all of a sudden it grabbed my right leg, and I looked down, and it was a huge muskie.
Wow.
Both you guys fish, right? Both you are anglers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen or heard of anything like this before in your lives?
I've heard of people if they sit on their docks and have their feet hanging over, but I have never heard of a fish actually coming up and grabbing a hold of you and pulling you under.
So Kim, I was saying earlier, I thought maybe we were speculating because we've now, so we see a lot of times in the world of muskie and pike and big predator fish where a fish is swimming along and they grab like that, right? But you're saying you're standing up, so your legs were in a vertical position and you come over and grabbed it like that, right?
It came in and turned and T-boned her in the calf.
Wow. That is crazier than crazy.
And then continued to thrash hard enough and pull her head under the water from a standing position. And there was all of us standing there literally 20 feet away from her in disbelief, going like, we're not even sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
Have you guys ever fished that area for muskie?
There has been many people that cast lures across there and have raised them. A friend of mine actually had a big one very close to that vicinity a couple of weeks ago, but he had no help, so it got off. He couldn't get to the net, and he estimated that one to be around 50 inches. So,
wow.
Oh yeah, there's definitely lots in the area, but nobody ever thinks that they fish away from people. So.
I mean, that's all we've ever seen. As we pursue these creatures, that's why this behooves us, because it's such an unusual thing to happen with this animal. It's just
what's the water current like there? Could you get a good look at the fish? I mean, is it nice, clean?
I could see clear down.
There was actually a little painted turtle swimming around, bobbing around with us while we were swimming, and I think it might actually been screaming, "Get out!"
If turtles could talk, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, you could see clearly into the water, and they're sneaky, obviously. So.
How big do you think that fish was, Kim or Terry? If you saw it, it was it had to be a 50+ inch. It had to be. Didn't it?
Yeah, the bite width, like on the bite on her, and anybody can measure it probably forever because the scar there, it was around 7 inches wide.
Wow.
I've Googled 48-inch muskies where the guy had a measuring stick inside its mouth, and it was 5.5 inches wide. So.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's 50+. That's
teeth to teeth, 7 inches wide. It's
right.
Terry, I want to take you back to that moment, if we could. So you're in the water with your wife, and you guys have done this. By the way, you've been visiting that area since 2007, I believe. So you're very familiar with that whole stretch and everything else. You've probably done this 100 times, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're standing there in the water with your wife, and all of a sudden she behaves in a totally irrational manner. I'm assuming that's kind of what the first thing that you see. But what's going through your head when you know there's something going on down there? Like, you're not thinking this is a giant muskie pulling my wife down into the water. Like, what's going through your head at that moment?
I had at first I thought maybe she got stung by a horsefly in the back or something and was just trying to get it off her back. Like, I had no idea. It was the most surreal scene. There was numerous people standing there just going, what's going on? Like, nobody had a clue.
Wow.
We still didn't have a clue until she got closer to shore, and then we could see the clouds of blood in the water, and it literally looked like something out of Jaws. It was that horrifying.
How long did it have a hold? I mean, we didn't time it, but was it like 5 seconds? Did it maybe 3 seconds? Did it stay on there?
I honestly don't really remember all, because I remember it grabbing me and then thrashing me and then pulling me under, and all I kept doing was kicking and hitting it with my hands, because I do have cuts on my hands. So maybe about 5-10 seconds it lasted, but it seemed like it lasted forever.
Oh my God.
And Kim, what happened then? It just decided to let go at that point?
I guess so. And then once I got back up onto the surface and was really screaming, then people actually realized that, you know what, Kim's not joking around here. There's something seriously going on.
Yeah.
When you say it pulled you under, are you talking like completely submerged under the water?
When it yanked my leg down, it pulled me right under.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is incredible. What about, so now, Kim, you have not had plastic surgery as of yet? Is there time to heal or something like that? What's going to be the next step?
Well, I go and see the plastic surgeon in 3 weeks, and he wants to see how the skin is growing.
Right.
And then after 6 weeks, he said, we'll figure out what our plan will be to cover up all the scars I'm going to have for skin grafting or whatever they're going to do.
Wow.
Anybody watching this right now, I'm sure they're in total shock, just like we are, because we live and play in that arena. Probably at least 2 or 3 days a week. All of us, we swim, and we have our children swimming, playing in water that we know there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of muskie. How does this change that for you folks? What can you help us with? Because right now we're all feeling, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but we're all feeling a little bit concerned here.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
All right. I don't have any intention of going swimming again anytime soon. I'm terrified. I told my husband this weekend we're going to head back out to the lake, and I said I'm not even going in the boat to go fishing. I'm just going to stay up in our trailer, and I don't want to go down near the docks or the water, because all I keep thinking is that she's probably there somewhere and she's just watching, and it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, and justifiably so. I mean, that's a traumatic experience, right? That's something that's out of the. I mean, nobody knows about it.
I just have constant nightmares. I mean, that'll eventually go away, but it's only been 4 days since it happened, and it's very traumatizing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a few more weeks before the reality of this thing sets in with both of you. I'll bet.
Oh yes.
Because right now you're still just the adrenaline has got to be insane. I mean, it's wow.
I've been helping with dressing changes every night. It's a wonderful thing.
Have either one of you ever had an injury fishing before? I know Pete and I we hook ourselves all the time, or we'll get bit by a fish when we're trying to take a hook out.
Yep.
Has that happened to you guys before?
We walleye fish. Like, I'm not a muskie fisher, and we walleye fish. And I mean, you have the fish, and you'll get the little cut from their fins or something, but nothing. No.
We have brought up several muskie on our walleyes or smallmouths, and they've been shredded. I even got a couple in the net. We had them in the boat. So she knows what a muskie looks like close up. But
oh my God!
Yeah,
and you guys know what that fish looks like after it's been shredded by a big muskie.
Exactly, and it shows the aggressiveness of a muskie or a pike, even, because we've had pike do the same thing. But they're fearless, right? And obviously, it didn't know Kim was a human or anything, but it didn't care what it was. It just grabbed a hold of something that it wanted. It was thinking food or whatever, or maybe an attack. I doubt that. I think it was food, obviously, in their mind, but they don't care when they get a big muskie like that and gets on the roll. It's the king of the water, right? The lion of the jungle.
I would like to sort of throw this out there if I could. I believe that this was a very rare moment. Yeah. I don't think that we need to all be afraid of muskie attacking us from now on, because this is such a rare story. When we first heard about it, yesterday we spent all day researching to see when did we have the last actual documented, real, honest to goodness case of a human being being attacked by a muskie, and we can't find any. So this is such a rare occasion. You know, this is that perfect storm that only comes by once in a lifetime. I'm sure we have to think that way, because otherwise, who would ever go back to water? You know. So you guys need to know that this was for whatever reason, this was just once in a lifetime. It happened. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And man, oh man, I just can't put myself in your position, both of you. Obviously, you more so, Kim, because you experienced it. But for you, Terry, to see your wife being dragged under the water, I mean, that's just, I can't even imagine what that is like.
It was horrifying. She was horrified, obviously. Luckily for us, at the time, the people we were in the water with and our family out at North Star Village, all of our friends, 2 of them are nurses, 2 of them are OPP officers. So luckily for me, I got my own issues with my feet. That's another story. But luckily for me, they were there to help because they took care of everything. And I went up and got my truck, came back. She was ready to go to the hospital. So that was fantastic, because without those people, I have no idea what I would have done.
You know, I wrote a little article about this, a little blog about this that's being posted today, and I referred to it as the craziest year that any of us will ever have to endure. Obviously, COVID is high on our list, but there's been a few strange things happening this year. This is going to be in our top 10, I'll guarantee you, for 2020. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. And it's just one of those things. And how ironic is it that it comes during, I know people are going to laugh at me, it comes during Shark Week on Discovery.
I know.
Yeah, and you know what else was starting in Monaco that day?
What?
The locals' muskie hunt started that day. It's still on right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
That
God.
started that day in muskie hunt. So.
Wow.
That is just unbelievable. Folks, I can't thank you enough for joining us. There aren't any words for us all. We feel with, when we saw and heard about the story, we all were there with you, because we spent a lot of time in those waters too. We have fished those waters. And for you to come on the show and talk to us in person, it's just
it was a moment of, we had a moment of disbelief, obviously, because Kim, as you know, I mean, you've never heard of it before. We live fishing. We've never heard of it really like that. And the story, when we read the story about what happened to you, so thank you for coming on and proving to the world, you know, that this is the reality. It doesn't happen.
That's another reason why Kim doesn't want to do this kind of stuff anymore. I'm just trying to tell her, get the right story out, because she's reading so much stuff on social media and she's getting angry because people are saying some of the most ridiculous things ever about this. So there was a weed whacker. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a weed whacker, all right. Nobody ever wants to run into that weed whacker.
To both of you, I will leave you with this message. There are a lot of kooks out on the internet. Yeah. And this seems to bring the best out in them, or the worst, depending on which side you're on. We've experienced it ourselves. Don't let it get you down. They're going to be there, and it doesn't matter what the issue is. They lurk in those weeds. So don't take it personal. But once again, I want to thank you for joining us, and let's stay in touch. Let's see how you. I'd love to, Kim. I would love to have you back on the program. In a few months or thereabouts, and I would like to hear that you're back in the saddle. You're fishing again. You won't let this one isolated little speck in time affect the way you look at things, because I can tell from both of you speaking to you that you've got great attitude and great outlook on life. Don't let this change it. It's a 1 in a million. Hey, you just won a lottery. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So we'll be buying tickets.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. You take care up there, and we'll talk to you again.
All right.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to say to 2020, enough already.
You got it. Well
Take
said.
care.
Well said. Wow. Wow. You got it from the horse's mouth on that one. Literally. That's scary, man. That's like, because I know a lot of people, when you just caught it at musky lakes, they don't want it. I don't want to swim in the lake just when they see a muskie like that. And, you're always thinking, whatever. Like, that's the reality. Yeah, you're one in a million or 1 in a billion or whatever it would be in odds, but it happened, right?
Here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of, this thing's good. It's got legs already, but those legs are going to grow in the days and weeks to come as this story percolates and expands and gets out in social media. I want to just make sure we all understand this is a very, very extremely rare case. And it might be a one of. And if anybody's got any information that would lead us to discovering a similar story, I'd love for you to reach out to us. But I think it's a one of. I just think it was the perfect storm. Everything led to this. I don't think we can put anything. And the reason I'm saying this, my daughter, Nikki's mother, she has been terrified for years about going in water, both salt water and fresh. And for years, I have reassured her that it's okay. And a story like this could affect a person like that in a very negative way. Yeah. So I just, it really.
In the same sense, I mean, like we look at it, like Ann said, the odds are ridiculous that it will happen. I mean, I swam my whole life and never ever had that, and everybody watching here on the sidebars watching us today has never had it happen. I'll pretty much guarantee that. You know what I mean? So the odds are, and you know what we would appreciate, and I know everybody would appreciate is if you people share this actual cast with other people to see the real story of what happened. If you can get that put on your Facebook pages, because they're right, Kim's right. The social media idiots out there that want to take this and blew it into something kind of crap. So if you can share this on your pages, tell people, please check out this interview that Ange and Pete had with the real victim here, and they will hear the story. That we'd appreciate that, and I think the whole fishing community would appreciate that too. So
yeah, let them see how genuine those two are.
Yeah, they were serious, like you can see.
And yeah, there's going to be trolls out there. We know who you are. We've experienced you, and yeah, you're going to do your big thing, and that's fine. But for the rest of us out there, let people know that are sitting on the sidelines that this interview is available and that they can view it themselves and make a decision based on.
Let me bring back a little instance here about internet trolls. So we had some complaints a while back about the way Ange and I handled muskies. One guy came on there, and in particular, this guy came on and he said, "You guys are dicks, and you don't know anything about muskie fishing and all that." So Ange looked him up. He did he reversed trolled them in a way. He looked up this guy, Reggie. I'll just say let's call him Reggie. And Ange found this picture of Reggie holding up a muskie in the proper position. So underneath, everything's beautiful, not upright like this, like that. The only problem was Reggie's fish was covered in blood streaks. All these streaks of blood going all the way down. And he was proudly displaying this on his Facebook page that he slagged the shit out of us for holding our muskies in the world, whatever we did wrong with it, whatever pissed him off, like that. So, I mean, the comment of the year was when Pete Turner got on there and he says, "Hey, Reggie, that's a nice picture you got. What did you catch that fish with? A baseball bat?" And that said it all. And then Reggie shut up when he apologized to us and blah, blah, blah. So there's going to be trolls out there all the time. You call them out, sometimes they'll come, turn around. They're just trying to be a tough guy out there on the internet. So it's going to happen. And in a case like this, it's unfortunate. With a weed whacker, yeah, okay, weed whacker's going to leave that pattern like that. Weed whacker's going to pull you under the water. Come on, get with it, people.
Absolute idiot that would make a comment like that. Like, get a life. Go someplace else. Go off planet. Please take all of your buddies with you, because all of you guys are heroes and you deserve to have your own planet. This world's good enough for you.
Yeah, exactly. They know it all. They do it all. So,
anyways, that's. By the way, I want to just highlight something. I keep referring to our crack research department and joking and sometimes sounding a little disparaging. Maybe I'm a little bit of a sarcastic SOB, as most people know.
No, you are
Yeah.
not.
Sometimes,
No.
not all the time. See,
By the way, a journalist's salary is $43,178 just in Canada. Just to let you know for the crack research. So.
Oh, did Mike post that? I wanted to
No,
talk.
I don't know who posted that. I just found that somewhere floating around. So.
Okay, well then they're gonna have to take a pay cut if they want that job, I guess. But it's an honorable position. I think they should all go for it. I wanted to thank Sarah, who doesn't get enough credit. Sarah Pollock, who works here at Pine Coast Productions, and Jordan. Both of these individuals were saddled with this story late this morning, and I said to both of them, I gave them both problems. This show was going in a whole different direction up until about 10 o'clock this morning, and then we had two major stories break, and I asked them to get us interviews with both of the people that were breaking these stories. One was the Minister of Natural Resources, and the other one was this story about this Muskie attack. And I got to tell you, I am not only proud of them, I was shocked when things started unfolding here live, because this was all live, folks. We didn't know whether we'd have either one of these stories live for you today when we went on at noon. And I was shocked that both of them came through, and I am so proud of our team. You have absolutely no idea how this makes me feel that we're capable of pulling this stuff off. So hats off to Sarah and Jordan and Mike for putting this together today. It's fantastic work, guys. Great team.
Absolutely. We gotta sit here and look pretty. That's all we have to do, right?
I don't know about you. I mean, you work a little.
I have to work out a bit more than you, but that's besides the point.
The guy
I've got that. When I had the longer hair, I got that. Like, remember that one trade show? We had the big banners up there. People were waiting for Bono's autograph at the fishing booth because they thought he was coming.
I'm expecting somebody to say the guy on the right looks like the hedgehog.
Hey, you wish, eh? Ronnie.
Anyways,
cool.
This is a wacky show. This was unbelievable. So that's all I can say. It's right now, and I'm happy. I'm happy. We have fulfilled everything that we wanted to accomplish today, and then some. You people got an opportunity to experience two things firsthand. Both of those were a first, and we all did it together, which is unbelievable. Maybe we should quit while we're ahead.
I think it's about time right now, buddy. I think, you know what, we've covered everything we had on our list. We got extras in. We do like George Costanza. You go out on a high, because if you go out on a low, my friend, it's no good. You know what I mean? So
maybe we'll take just two more questions and then we're done.
Okay, two more or something like that. Yeah.
Merv, one of the best shows so far. Thanks, Merv. We agree wholeheartedly. It was
absolutely
award. There's such a thing as an award-winning webcast. This was it.
I hope so. And again, like I said, please share the hell out of this one, because this whole week, if you can share this as much as you can, people, word will get out about both stories, and so it'll help. Any more there?
No, I think we're good to go. Everybody's happy. Everybody's exhausted. They're going. Whew.
One more point, just in case you're wondering, the bite on the Bay of Quinte is on for walleye right now. That's all I'm going to say. It's on.
That's all you're going to tell them?
Sure.
That's not right. I think you should tell them more quickly, though. I don't want you to.
Okay. The bite on weed walleye. What's that?
The weed walleye bite.
Weed walleye, weed oriented. If you're going to go out there and do anything but, the bite's probably going to be mediocre at best. But if you're going to go out there and try to get them in the weeds on crankbait, let's say, or maybe some rip jigs like Mr. Angelo Vale loves to do. Him and I are thinking a lot about some future shooting coming up in the very, very near future. It's on right now. So just to let you know, the little fishing report. So
my apologies to Nicky V. I kind of cut him off short there when he took the hot seat. Maybe we can bring him on a future episode, and you guys can discuss what you spent all day on the payroll yesterday doing. Because
there you go. There you go again.
No, I don't. No. You. I'm sure you were very fruitful. I'm sure you did good things out there.
You call me a fruit?
I did not. Well, you can't do that anymore.
You called it to me. I didn't do it. I'm defending. You called me the name. You're offensive. I'm defensive.
Anyways, I want to remind folks, the fishingcanada.com contest kicks a new month off today. And
Yes.
Best of luck to everybody out there. Once again, the first winner we've had from Alberta in the what's it been, about 18 months since we started giving stuff away every month. It's the first winner that we've had from the province of Alberta. We're so thrilled. We're starting to get a little bit worried because there's a lot of BC going on and there's a lot of Ontario going on. The odd little bit of, Manitoba and Saskatchewan and East Coast, but nothing in Alberta. And then all of a sudden, boom, there he is. And it's John Yee from Edmonton, Alberta. And yes, he had over 500 entries. He must have been starting to get a little disappointed, though. You got to.
Sure. But you know what? He must have been sticking with it, though. Obviously, to have 500, he's been doing a lot. He was in the 9-9 contest earlier. The boys checked it out. So he's an avid contest user and avid fan. So that's great. He's that's just shows you. Get your votes in there. Get your ballots in there, folks. Not your votes, your ballots in there, and you got a chance of winning.
I want to remind everybody, Pete already did, share this particular episode with as many people as you can on both those fronts. First of all, to speak about the cormorant issue, and secondly, about this marauding muskie attacking folks in Northern Ontario. And the more people that know the truth, the better off we will be as anglers and outdoors people, for sure. Mikey, have we covered everything? Are we allowed to go, or have you got something else you'd like us to work with?
Tomorrow's Fishing Canada show, 8 o'clock, is going to be the Hawk Lake episode that Angie shot last year. It's a great episode. Angie gets 3 fish that are pretty much 10 pounds each. You know what I mean? Maybe if one was just a shade under, then the others were a shade over for sure. They were big fish. So, every fish we got on there, the smallest one, I got the smallest fish, I think it was a 5 or 6 pounder. So it was some ridiculous fishing. So that's Fishing Canada tomorrow. It's the Hawk Lake episode, really good episode. So
it's all happening on Global Television Network, coast to coast to coast. As we bid you a farewell, I want to wish everybody a wonderful long weekend if you're going to experience it as a long weekend. I'm not really quite sure who and what and where is going to have a long weekend in this country, but somebody is going to. I know that for a fact. So enjoy it. Get outside. Enjoy what we take for granted here every day. But, of course, do it in a safe manner. Play it safe. And that'll allow us all to get back next Friday. That's about it for me. Peter?
Adios, people. Thank you very much for joining us. Take care.
Next week. So we're not expecting to catch hundreds of fish on this trip. We're hunting for a trophy fish.
Oh, got a fighter here, kid. Got one, Ange. Look at that. Oh, you only got one that big? Oh my God. Oh, buddy, that's a mule. That's a big fish, Ange.
Wow.
No, yeah.
Nice one.
That's a pig. Oh my God. That's what we're coming up the Hawk Lake right there.
That's
for.
a Hawk Lake fish.